Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. This is Wendy. Today we're going to be doing 3 Dollar Tree Valentine's Day DIYs, and I'm really excited because it's also a day of collaborating with my friend Nicole over at the Week's Nest. If you haven't already, please go check out her channel, and if you're stopping by from her channel, thank you and welcome. Make sure you let her know I sent you. You will love her DIYs and all of her farmhouse projects. So for our first project, we're going to start with this To the Moon and Back woodish kind of sign from the Dollar Tree, this burlap lace ribbon, and then some lamb's ear. I'm kind of getting low on this, so this is just some leftovers that I put together. And you get this at Walmart for $2 a bunch. Some Waverly white chalk paint, as well as some ballet slipper pink chalk paint, some vinyl and transfer tape because we'll be using the cameo, a bistro chalk marker, some stir sticks, my glue gun and scissors, and a chenille stem. A chenille stem. Thank you guys for keeping me on my toes. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off all of the backing from the heart, and it comes up pretty easily if you do it nice and slowly, and it'll just kind of pop right up. You can also use a blow dryer to heat up the glue, another recommendation from my wonderful viewers, but this one didn't even need it. It just came up as long as I did it nice and slow. So once I got it off, I took my sanding block and then just made it all smooth and a nice surface so that I could paint it. So for the top part of the heart, I'm going to be using the ballet slipper just by itself in the full color, because what I want to do is gradually make the shades lighter as we go down the heart. So the next portion is going to be a little bit lighter than the top one, and then the third one even lighter than that, and so on. So the way I do that is I'm going to be adding a little bit of white each time for each section, and then that'll give it the ombre effect. So now that I have my sections all painted, I'm going to measure to determine how large I need to make my words that I'll be cutting from my Silhouette Cameo 3. And I'm going to put on each part, "For God" will be at the top, and then "So loved the world that he gave his only begotten son," John 3:16. And so I sectioned it off and used different fonts for each of those sections. And I think this is really the best scripture that can be used during Valentine's Day, because there is no greater love. So the second part is going to say, so loved the world that he gave his. And this will give you an idea of the automatic settings that come up when you set it to matte vinyl. You guys have been asking to do a tutorial, and while I don't think I'm that great at it, I was going to try and go ahead and make a video to give you some tips and pointers of at least what I've learned over the past 3 months of doing this. So let me know if you guys are really up to that, if you would like to see a tutorial. I know there's way better people out there doing them on YouTube, but I would love to help if I can in any way. I absolutely love these fonts, and so I'm going to put them in the description box in case you guys want to use these. But it's the HANDSNOW is what I used for God and Only Begotten Son, and then the Skinny for So Loved the World that He Gave, and then for John 3:16 I used Lucida Grande. So, but I'll put those in the description box so you don't have to remember that right now. And you can download these fonts for free at dafont.com. I'll put that link in the description box as well. And you can use those for free for personal use. The Dollar Tree does carry white lace, but I had this stash where I put ribbons from, like in this case, pajamas, or if you have blankets or sheets. This was from a wedding, just leftover ribbon and lace. And so I put it all together in a box, and then I can use it for whatever I need. So I knew that I wanted to use lace to hold the pieces together to match my burlap and lace ribbon. So I just cut 2 pieces and lined them up along the sides, and I'm going to attach those. That's what will hold them together. So I was measuring to get them into the right position, and then I need to split them apart. And so in order to separate them evenly, I put popsicle sticks in between each of the planks so that they would be evenly spaced. Now, when I first measured, I didn't quite get it right. So make sure you get it right. Just don't do what I did. So because this lace is so delicate, there's not a lot to really grab onto. So I've been getting a lot of questions about these finger protectors, and so I'll link the Amazon link to purchase these. They were like $2.97 for a set of 10, but they've gone up in price, so now they're a whole $3.33 or something. So they also have some at Dollar Tree. They're not like this. They don't have any of the ventilation holes, but they're still really good, and I use those as well. So as you can see, after I've put my spacers in, I'm going to lay that lace down and just kind of push it into place with into the hot glue, using a popsicle stick and my finger and just whatever to get it in place. And so I do that for both sides, and that's what's going to keep the little planks together. So now I'm going to make my bow for the top, and using this burlap and lace ribbon, I just did the fold over method. This is called the Olivia bow, for those of you who know Olivia's Romantic Home. And this is how she does it, and I know other people do it too, but you just want to cut some slits on the side, just very small slits that just go through the metal part or the wire. And then using a chenille stem, I put it through, kind of crunch it in the middle so that it's pulled together, and then fan out those loops and make it into a nice perky fluffy bow. So then I took the rest of the ribbon that was left on the spool and was going to make that into the hanging part. And I still did. I put it at the top. But I had decided I was loving this so much. I had originally just planned to make it like this, as it was intended originally when you purchase it from the Dollar Tree. But I loved it so much that I wanted to make it even more special and kind of center of attention. So I attached the bow to the top. And this, you can stop right there, and this is really cute as it is. And I kind of did the sensuous hanger, like sensuous back there. Go ahead and make a little hanger for it to hang up. And so I decided to go ahead and put it on this Walmart plank or pallet board or whatever you want to call it. They sell these at Walmart for $14.95. And I just wanted to add more to it just because I loved it so much, and I love the scripture, of course. And so I went ahead and got some more lamb's ear from Walmart and added that to the back part of the bow. And I just used hot glue, and I didn't have my finger protectors on, but I will get them on in just a second. And so I'm just twisting my leaves so that the top parts are showing for the most part. And then I just hot glue that down, and that's going to be behind my bow. And then if there's any empty spots, just add more of the lamb's ear. And then I was also calling this Queen Anne's lace, and this is not what this is. This is the baby breath. And thank you to my viewers who, again, keep me on my toes, because I don't want to give any wrong information. So that is important, and I appreciate it. So I found these feathers. This was actually from some Christmas ornament, and so I pulled those off. But Dollar Tree does have feathers as well in their craft section. So I added a couple of feathers just to give it some more softness, and hot glued those into the lamb's ear. And I found that the best way to use or to hot glue something this skinny is to just kind of hold it a little bit away from it and let the glue kind of just fall onto the stem. So now that I've got those all in place, I knew that I wanted to make a little cross for my heart. So I had this old fall swag thingy that was made out of twigs, and you could actually do this from branches in your backyard. But I liked them so much, I ended up putting some into the top piece, and they had kind of like almost little thorns or something sticking out, so it kind of reminded me of the crown of thorns. So I thought it was perfect for this piece. So now I just took some little twigs. I put 3 together and then wired those together and then put another 3 together to make the crossbeam, and then covered that wire with some jute twine to make a cross, and then I used the extra wire to attach it to that second plank and just wrapped it around, and it was in place. So now I'm going to add some pink to the garland, and I had these Dollar Tree flowers. I have a whole bunch of them, and I actually used them for centerpieces in my granddaughter Cadence's first birthday party centerpieces. And so I found those, and they were the perfect color. They're a little worn out, but I think it looks perfect in this. And so I just added a couple, 2 on one side and 1 on the other. And then there were some super pink parts of the flower, and I just cut those off so that it wasn't so loud and it was softer. And then I raised the heart a little bit by shortening those 2 pieces of burlap that were holding them up originally. And so anyway, I think it turned out super cute. I put 2 of these little sawtooth holders on the back so that it can be hung, and I couldn't get it all the way in. It's very soft wood, but there was a knot or something in all 4 spots, so I'll have to have Michael J put those in better for me. So here it is all done, and I absolutely love this piece. I think this might be my favorite of all time. I love this scripture, and like I said, this is something that we should be celebrating at Valentine's Day, because there is no greater love than the love Jesus has for us and that God has for us. So anyway, not only that, I think it's really pretty too, and I think it's super soft and perfect for pink Valentine's Day. For our next project, we're going to be using the heart that I pulled out of the red truck, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll link that in the description box below. But I decided I could use it for this project. I had some yarn, and this just came out of my stash, and it happened to be 4 different colors, and that purpley color kind of went with the heart, so that worked out. I was glad I had that. I got these from my mother-in-law, so she got them at Walmart because that's the only place she ever got her yarn. Some more of these Dollar Tree flowers in the pinks, and then some ribbon, and this is really sheer ribbon, again from Dollar Tree, but it's very, very translucent and thin, but we're going to use both colors. And then scissors and my ruler, and that's it. I actually just marked a 24-inch piece, or 24-inch notches on my work surface, which is paper. And so I'm going to roll my yarn back and forth, and I did 10 pairs, I guess you would say. So as I'm pulling it apart or pulling it over, you see that there's 10 loops on one side. And so on the other side, I'm going to cut those apart. So now we'll just have 10 pairs, if that makes sense. Okay, so once you get those all done, we're going to attach it to the heart, one side of the heart. And I just made a loop and then pulled the cut end through that loop, and then pulled it so that the part where it's not a knot, but it's like where it comes together, where the loop attaches to the straight part, is at the bottom back of that heart. So I think it makes more sense if you just watch. So I thought it was pretty neat that these different yarns had different textures, and so that gave it some more interest. As you can see, I'm coming up on the notch that was originally made for the tailgate of the back of my red truck, and so you won't have to deal with that but unless you've recently taken out a heart from the back of your red truck, but it'll be a lot easier because that notch won't be there. But also pulling your yarn to make the loops is a lot easier if in your yarn it's coming from the middle and not in balls like I had, so they won't be rolling around, and it's just a lot easier. So here it is with them all done, and as you can see, we went from the lightest to the darker and then giving it that ombre effect. Now you could leave it like this, and you could maybe even make knots at the bottom or just leave it or cut it so that it's straight across, but I decided I wanted to do the dovetail at the end. So I was kind of scared to do this because I wanted to get it right and didn't want to mess up what I had already done. But it worked out, and so I just cut 2 diagonal lines to make it kind of angled there. And then I'm going to make my bow using that sheer ribbon, and so I just folded it over itself, and I gave it more loops on this one because it is so thin and delicate, and did my notches on the middle part. And then I'm going to attach both colors together with wire, paddle wire, and then twist that up and then put them together, and then start spreading out the loops to make another perky little pretty bow. Now using the extra paddle wire, I attached it to the back of the heart and then just twisted it to keep it in place. And then I'm going to add some flowers to the bottom corner, and I just made a little bouquet and put some pieces together that I liked, and I didn't like the leaves that were on this, so I changed them out with some lamb's ear and wired that up, and then attached it to the back using hot glue. And then using a small piece of chenille stem, I made a little loop and then stuck the pieces into the styrofoam, and then added some hot glue to keep it in place, and a little bit of fabric to cover the ugly up. And so there it is, it's all done. I love how this turned out too. I'm liking that ombre look, and I think this is gonna go in Cadence's bedroom. These are her colors, and so I think it's a sweet little addition for Valentine's Day, and she might even want to keep that glittery shininess up all year round. And you know, this would even be really pretty if you used ribbons. You could do this for a wedding, and instead of the heart, you could use a hoop or something, but it gives it kind of a boho look at the same time. So you could style this in your own colors for whatever your needs are, and make it as romantic or playful as you want using the yarn or the ribbon or whatever it is, but I think it really turned out sweet. For today's final project, we're going to be using this tin mailbox that I had from Christmas with the opening front. We'll also be using one of these little cups. They come in a pack of 3, but we're just going to use 1. Some craft paper with the beautiful roses, and then some pink flowers, just all sorts, and then some more of the white baby breath. I always thought it was baby's breath, but it says baby breath on the label, so it must be right. And then some floral foam. It comes in a stack of 4, but we just are using 1. And then 4 white envelopes, the standard letter size. Some more of the lamb's ear from Walmart. And then some more of the sheer ribbon from Dollar Tree. And then I used a black and white paint pen, but you could use a Sharpie for this, and then also a pencil. My glue gun, a knife, and my scissors. The knife will be for cutting the foam, the floral foam. And anything that needs more than 1 coat, I like to put in a little container from the Dollar Tree. And I added a little bit of water just because this is tin and it's not going to hurt anything, and it makes it a little easier to work with. So if you pull down just a little bit, it'll open the notches that's holding the lid on there. So you can take it apart so that you can paint that separately. It makes it a lot easier. So I love the way that this chalk paint covers this tin, and it covered very well and evenly, but I've also learned that it has a lot to do with your brush also. So the better brush that you have, the better finish you're going to have, and it'll be a lot smoother. So I just painted the box. I only went halfway up, so I did the bottom, all of the lid, and then the inside of the mailbox too. You don't have to do the inside, but it kind of shows a little bit depending on how high you put it up and wherever you're going to display it. But I just like to give it a finished look. So if you want, paint the inside. But just I painted everything all the way around, and then I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to paint the cup using the Waverly White chalk paint. Both of those are going to take a couple coats, so while they're drying in between coats, I'm going to use a tea bag and rub that on the edges of my envelopes. And it's hot water so that it kind of activates the tea and gives it a tea stained look so that they look kind of old and not like brand new envelopes. So I wanted to rub that around, and in the corners just kind of give it a rounded edge so that it just, I don't know, I think that's the way it would look if it was old and this was a vintage envelope. Now I'm going to take a paper towel, and I have the kind that is small sections. So I took 2 sections, folded it in half, and then folded it the other way, and then stuffed that into the envelope to make it look like there's something in there. And then I sealed that, and then I'm going to write on top of it. I was trying to think of something that was Valentine's Day related, so I did 123 Hart Street and Lovetown, California, and then I couldn't think of a zip code, so I used 90210 for anybody that remembers that show. And then I just made random marks and stuff, and did the squiggly lines as if it were being metered and put a heart. And then for the others, they're not really going to show, but just in case anything sticks out, I was trying to think of some epic couples. And so I did Romeo and Juliet, and then I did Catherine and Heathcliff, and then I did Michael J. and Wendy Sue. So after I stacked them and glued them in place, I'm going to take some of the ribbon and just tie a sweet bow on top. And then I'll add a couple of leaves of the lamb's ear and tuck in also some of those Dollar Tree. They kind of look like pip berries, but they're just styrofoam little balls of some sort. But I thought they were cute on top. So now that my lid is dry, I'm going to push that down into the foam so I get an indentation of where it will be to fit. And then I'm going to slice a real narrow piece with my knife, and that's going to go inside of the lid. And then there's a little open spot at the front, and I just stuck some extras in there. And then I'm going to take my flowers and just poke those into the foam, just randomly, but covering the whole thing. And then I'm going to add some smaller flowers and more of those berries and some baby's breath. Oh, and of course some more lamb's ear. Now to cover the top part of the mailbox, I'm going to measure with my fingernail where I need to cut this piece of scrapbook paper. So I just used my paper trimmer and measured to see how long to make it fit. And I'm again just going halfway down. And the reason why I only went halfway down, well, aside from the fact that it's pretty cute, but was because of that little flag. I didn't know how I was going to get around it. So in order to get it on to the mailbox, I tried hot gluing it and it didn't hold it because this is pretty thick paper. So I found some of this peel and stick adhesive. I have no idea where I got it, but I will link, if it's even still made, I'll link where you can get it if you wanted to try this. But this stickiness, I've had it probably for years because I don't even remember when I got it, but it was no joke. This will, you can stick a bowling ball to this. It's no joke. And so I attached it all the way around, and it was actually what I really needed for this project to stay in place. So after I got that covered, then I'm going to use my E6000 to attach it to the little cup. And I had to paint the top because there were parts that were kind of poking out, so you could kind of see the red since I didn't originally paint it. So then I just put some hot glue on for the immediate hold and then placed my mailbox on top of that. Now I'm going to reattach the lid into those little notches and then just push them together so that they are nice and tight and keep your lid on. Now I'm going to use my paint pen, and I just freehanded love letters. And I know a lot of you have been asking or talking about how you don't like your handwriting or it's messy or whatever. And I'm going to be doing a handwriting tutorial at some point here, but I'm not lying when I say you can make any handwriting look really pretty, and you're probably being overcritical anyway, but let me know in the comments if you would like that, if that's something that would interest you, because not everybody has a cutter, and some jobs you don't need to pull out the cutter, but there are ways to pretty up your letters, and then you can use it on any of your projects. So I lost the footage of attaching the bow and painting the little white heart on the flag, but there it is. And then I used some ballet slipper paint to do the bottom ledge of the holder there, the stand. And here's how it turned out. There was a little bit of hot glue that kind of seeped out. So if you're doing this at home, I just did it because I'm doing a video, but I wouldn't normally do it. So just leave out the hot glue and it won't seep out. And the E6000, it'll stay in place if you just let it dry overnight. But I think this is super, super sweet and a perfect Valentine's Day vignette. I put it on a cake plate, and I would add more. This could be a centerpiece because it's got love letters on both sides, so it'll be pretty from both sides. And the letters, this you could do and not even do the mailbox. I think it's kind of along the lines of the stacked books, and super sweet and very romantic. And I also displayed it where it's kind of coming out of the mailbox, so you'll see that in a second. But let me know what you guys think of this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to check out Nicole's channel over at The Week's Nest. And if you're not already subscribed, I would so love if you would consider hitting that subscribe button. And I'm trying to get back to everybody's comments. There's a lot of them and some questions that I need to answer. So please be patient and I will get to you. I promise. So I hope everybody has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye.